Welcome, Patreon subscribers, to your exclusive content, Captain Marvel, presented to you by myself, Josh Burns, CJ Mellon, and Brian Thornton.
Ooh. I wanted to hear presented in glorious 4K or Sony Atmos.
In glorious 71 millimeter.
It was
that's
in
what I was
IMAX. I saw it in IMAX. It was glorious.
I did not see this in IMAX. I have restrictions as to when I can see movies, and this was not a...
I saw this in a recliner.
I did see this in a recliner. It's very nice. All right, let's do some classic just first impressions when you left the theater. Starting with Joshua. What was your first impression when you just kind of walked out?
I was pretty charged up. I thought it was a fun movie. I thought it was an exciting movie. The storyline was okay. It was good, but the movie overall, general thoughts, exciting and hopeful for the future of the franchise.
Brian?
It was good. It was not as good as I wanted it to be, but it was good.
For me, I left going, this was a good origin story for a character that we haven't seen before, so that was great. But really, Marvel knows how to end a movie or wrap it up with you just going, can I see the next one already?
Right.
So I'm just so excited just when I left the theater. But same thing with Josh, just kind of going, the overall story, fine.
It was long in the middle.
But man, am I excited for what's coming after this.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
It started hot. It finished hot. It was long in the middle.
Mm-hmm. And there's not there was bad. There was nothing wrong with the movie. It wasn't bad at all. It just, I would have cut this, trimmed that, or just made a different choice here and there. But it was a good movie. I definitely enjoyed it more than some other people that I know saw it. And I enjoyed it a lot.
Was it better for you than the trailers were?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, this is also a movie that after the first trailer, I stopped watching the trailers.
Well, so and we've talked about this several times. I thought every trailer for this movie was awful. I didn't think the trailers did anything for the movie. When I saw the movie, what I got were, the trailers were lowering expectations, and this is actually far better than the trailers. And if I can explain my long in the middle thing, so you've got a character who is under some assumptions, right? She's been told certain things. The discovery part for me just took too long.
Okay.
Brian?
No, my main problem with this movie is exactly that. Because of the structure of the story, I didn't care about Carol Danvers until, an hour and a half into this 2-hour movie?
Yeah, you were almost done with the movie when you cared about Carol Danvers.
By the time I actually cared about her journey and what she was doing, it was almost over. And I have a kind of a big problem with that, and that's why I'm saying this movie was not as good as I wanted it to be. It could have been so much better if they had just moved the beginning act, the first act, to the second act.
Yeah.
And move the second act to the first act.
Yeah, just flip it around.
Because my feeling is, as a moviegoer, I already know who she is. I already know, even if I'm not into the comic books, I've seen the trailers. We all knew she was an Air Force pilot. We all knew she was from Earth. So why this whole shroud's trying to make us buy that? Oh, she's a Kree warrior, and she just lost her memory.
Because they've done the classic origin story 1,000 times, and they didn't want to do it.
I get it, but they could have done something so much different with this.
I know you get it. I'm just saying, I think the formula works, even if some fans rail against, let's do the origin, and then let's tell the rest of the story. It works. It really works for Marvel. Yeah. I agree. Act 2 should have been Act 1, vice versa. And then we have a really cohesive story. The other thing I thought was, don't the Kree understand the way language work? Kree is 2 E's. And Veers should be 2 E's. And I have a problem with that as well.
That's true. That's right. Linguistically, I have problems. Even in space, right? No, that's true. Yeah. The thing for me was the thing that the movie tries to put the twist in with the scrolls, right? The fact that
was actually good. I did not see that.
I saw that coming, and I guess that was just me. I did. I looked over.
They heavily advertised this movie that the scrolls were going to be the villain,
and again,
when they didn't do it, I was like, oh, okay. And they cast Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Ben Mendelsohn is the villain of all villains.
He's great.
He's great, but like he is this generation's Gary Oldman, where for the longest time Gary Oldman was just a villain in everything.
Yeah.
So when they flipped it on his head, it's like, oh, he's a good guy. I respected that.
I appreciate that.
Well, he's also super versatile. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh yeah, nothing against him as an actor. I think he's great.
And I enjoyed the fact that they were doing that, the fact that they gave the opportunity to do the flip. I saw the flip coming. It didn't take me out of it. It just I kind of saw it coming. But I at least enjoyed it. The thing that bothered me though, and this kind of goes back to the trailers, right, was a lot of the moments, it was weird. A lot of moments in the trailers that were everywhere, people, again, were surprised by them. Like when she goes on the train and punches the old woman, like half my theater went, oh! I was like, what?
What?
Did you not see the fucking trailer?
Right.
Like this has been in every trailer on everything. Like multiple times.
Where were you?
Were you in West Philadelphia?
I wasn't in Reading. So
that'll do it. Okay,
maybe that'll have it. Right. That was shocking to me. I was like, how did you guys not know this? I do want to talk about something though, kind of really cool throughout the movie, which was the work that they did with Samuel L. Jackson and the de-aging that they did on him, because that was mighty impressive.
Have you seen the side-by-side comparison of him
Die Hard with a Vengeance?
And
yes.
him with
Yes.
Yeah.
Freaking uncanny.
Amazing work. And knowing just how all of that done on, in post and
well, and Die Hard with a Vengeance was made in 95. This movie was set in 95. I mean, it was very good. Very good.
Just fantastic
Die
work.
Hard with the Vengeance was 93.
Look, I mean, you can fact check me. I've been pretty on point with dates lately, so
I know. Lately, yeah.
All right.
No, you're right. 95.
I also love the fact too that me being me, I was looking for. There's got to be a time when they fuck this up, right? There's got to be just like a moment where his face just turns into a spaghetti. There's got to be a moment where his like face turns kind of spaghetti-ish, or something's just not right, or something's droopy.
Never happened.
It was solid, on point. Millions of dollars went towards it,
including bruising him up, cutting him up, jacking him up, like that. This stuff never went awry.
All the damage carried was really good.
Clark Gregg looked a little. There was a scene or two where he looked a little off.
He looked a little Henry Cavill.
And I don't know if it's because they just gave him hair or if it was.
No, they also bulked him up and smoothed out his face.
They did. Yeah, they did. It wasn't bad. It's certainly better than other times where other studios have tried to do this, and even when Marvel has done it, in small bits for characters like they did with Michael Douglas. It was pretty good. So it wasn't bad. That was more noticeable than Samuel L. Jackson's. You're right.
Yeah, most certainly.
What was I going to say? So there was a lot of backstory in the sense of. So here's what I'm saying. What I liked about this movie was this is the first time that we've even seen Captain Marvel, that we've seen Carol Danvers at all in the MCU. This was our first introduction to her totally, and I thought they did a really good job. I feel like they did some good setup work to know what kind of character we're working with, what kind of hero is she going to be, and what role could she possibly play in the larger universe about to unfold in front of us. So I'm curious, especially with the fact at the end. I mean, we're just going to jump to this where she's fighting, Jude Law's character, whose name I can't pronounce. And deciding to send him back and not to kill him. What did you think about that moment? Or another side, what was the biggest standout moment for you for the character to kind of know what she's going to be in the future of the MCU?
So I have a couple.
The knockdown. I have nothing to prove to you. I mean, that was it. That was it for me.
That's it. And that was a great moment. And it was because you're expecting her to be like, oh, let's karate chop, and then she just blasts him because she can.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. She went full on Super Saiyan at the end and took out those Kree ships. That was freaking awesome.
That was pretty awesome. Again, giving me hope that someday a Dragon Ball Z movie can happen.
So the thing, I mean, and we've seen the Kree before. Obviously, everybody that's seen the movie should be familiar with Ronan the Accuser. What I didn't know was that there's a real stark difference between sort of the Kree military and the accusers.
Yes.
So I wasn't aware of that before. Like I thought the accusers were the highest level of their enforcement, and apparently they're just fucking fanatics.
Yeah.
And that at some point, and not by the time we got to Guardians of the Galaxy, these Kree warriors had probably been obliterated, right, by war, is my assumption, Brian.
Well, the one guy,
and all that was left were the accusers, and the bureaucrats.
The Kree are. I mean, yeah. I mean, sure.
I'm making assumptions here, but that's the way it seems that it's going in the MCU is that this group of, spec ops, like Jude Law's group, right? They go away, and all you're left with are the bureaucrats and the accusers. And the accusers in this movie turned and ran.
Yeah, they did. I also noticed that one of the guys that was on the team with Jude Law was actually in Guardians of the Galaxy. We met him
John
right away.
Character.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, wait a minute, that guy's from Guardians.
But he becomes a follower of the accusers. Right? So that's what I'm saying.
Is he just a pirate? Did he just abandon
he's not a Ravager. Like, he's an enforcer for Ronan.
Oh, okay. All right.
But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that
Sure.
military band, the military group got disbanded.
Sure.
And all that the enforcement arm became the accusers is the only, like, it was my big takeaway about the Kree is like how far, like the Kree at one point seemed to be, somewhat like a fair and honest civilization. And then they were taken over by these radicals. And they invaded Xandar and tried to destroy it and mass genocide and a peace treaty and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Brian, if I'm reading too much into this, you got to tell me. But like, I think these stories are incredibly well connected.
Yes, I agree with everything you say.
Jesus.
Seems correct.
Yeah, and again, that kind of puts it into some of the fact that Marvel's thought this through, and they've got enough source material to base this off to make things completely interconnected. So, I mean, is there a particular moment in this film or anything that really stood out to you or something that really kind of grabbed your attention that maybe hasn't been done in Marvel movies, in many other Marvel movies?
I love the fucking cat. The Flurkin.
That freaking cat.
I loved it. I love the addition of this alien species named Goose, nod to Top Gun, Maverick Goose. I loved the camaraderie, sort of the almost instant camaraderie between Carol Danvers and Fury. I love the
yeah.
I love the. Well, what does your mother call you? Fury. Right? Like, yeah.
So what do they call her?
Fury. Yeah.
Right.
I loved the wet behind the ears Agent Coulson. I loved the
had a Men in Black feel to it to me.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it really did. I love the relationship between Carol and Rambo and Lieutenant Trouble there, the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few character dynamic things I did not like, except for Jude Law. I hated him. Not in like I hated the character. I thought he played it poorly. I thought he played it very poorly.
I don't know how much there really was for him to do.
I don't know if there was a ton that he could have really. Yeah,
he was the main antagonist.
Yeah, but the problem is he's not until the last 15 minutes, because you're not supposed to know. That's the problem with the structure of this story.
Right. But what I'm saying is once you do, you're kind of like, oh, his role was kind of shit. Like, it should have been way more.
You have to. If you want to make that twist happen and make that come out of thin air, you've got to downplay his role.
He was the fiercest warrior, weakest piece of shit. Like, it was, and he handled it like a bitch. Like, it just didn't come off right.
And that's, again, where I think it wasn't necessarily Jude Law. I think it was what he was given. He did the best with what he could. I'm not a huge fan of Jude Law. I mean, I'll put that on record.
I like Jude Law.
He's all right. He's fine. And he was just fine. He did the job. Okay. I'll take it. Damn it! Forgot what I was going to say. Shit.
I will say, her kicking the shit out of a bunch of Kree soldiers while No Doubt is playing in the background.
Yeah.
Was fantastic.
All right,
The
let's talk about
soundtrack,
music.
the soundtrack was amazing.
Let's talk about the music because it was great. Big fan of it. I liked all the music selections. Nothing really bothered me at all. Josh, we in our main show, we were talking about Stranger Things 3 putting out a trailer and some of the songs not being from the right decade. I'm curious to get kind of your thoughts overall of this soundtrack.
Overall,
of the
zero
90s.
issues. I thought everything was in that 92 to 96 type range. This movie was supposed to be set in 95, so that makes sense. Down to her 9 Inch Nails t-shirt, like everything made sense. The use of Come As You Are and the use of No Doubt's Just a Girl. And I mean, it was the only thing that I wasn't crazy about was the use of Celebrity Skin at the very end of the movie. Other than it's got like the sickest guitar riff you've ever heard in your entire life. But beyond that, I was, the music was great.
Yeah, I think it was, again, it's kind of its own character in the film itself, and I thought that the songs that they chose were appropriate for the things that were going on the screen and helped tell the story. And while I listen and I'm a child of the 90s, they're not always the first songs that come to my head, so they were neat little surprises that jogged up memories that I kind of forgot about. So it's just kind of nice to see that. Now, Brian, what about some of the 90s references for you? I mean, did that come across as effective or was it a little heavy-handed?
There were moments. It didn't seem like it was interwoven in some points. There were some moments where it was just like, hey, 90s. But 90s stuff. But other than that, overall, like, I'm a sucker for that shit. The ultimate 90s reference is the Stan Lee cameo. Which was by far the best Stan Lee cameo.
Oh, the
ever.
Mallrats script.
Him reading the Mallrats script, rehearsing his line on the bus. I lost my mind. I thought that was amazing.
Trust me, true believer. Trust me, true believer. And Laura leans front, throws stuff at me. She's freaking out. That was her absolute favorite part of the movie because Mallrats means so much to us,
right?
As a team.
Did you see Kevin Smith's reaction video to it?
Of course, I saw the reaction video on the tweet. Yeah,
and he made a separate video, put out like a YouTube video, kind of describing.
Yeah, no, I was talking about that.
Yeah, where he knew about this in advance, right? Because they had to get a little bit of clearance and give him a heads up for it. But I think the biggest takeaway that Kevin Smith said was, for years, I have been referencing Marvel in my movies and in my life, and now Marvel has referenced me.
Right.
And Kevin Smith choked up, obviously, because he was very close to Stan and had worked with him, and the fact that it was Mallrats that he was reading was just, it was so touching. And then the little nod and smile that Carol Danvers gave to Stan after that moment was very touching. The other thing that was just incredible in regards to Stan Lee was the opening titles. Instead of having it be the typical Marvel Avengers stuff, it was all Stan.
I'm watching it. And I'm like, oh, this is different. This is touching. This is.
I applauded. I applauded in the theater.
It was wonderful. And then the thank Stan at the end.
Stan, yep.
I mean, obviously, they've lost a giant, but like they're gonna honor him, which is pretty amazing. And also, that cameo in Mallrats, I think, is his longest cameo on film.
I believe so. Yes.
So give me all the Mallrats.
If you haven't seen Mallrats and like, why was Stan Lee reading the Mallrats script? First off, go watch Mallrats. You'll appreciate not only just Stan Lee, but it's just a great movie. If you like this show, you will like Mallrats.
For sure.
I can definitively tell you that. Brian. So before we were talking about Stan, I was asking about the 90 references if they were heavy-handed. There was one moment though where I was just like, okay, guys, you're not trying that hard, but I get what you're doing. It's after she comes out of the Blockbuster, knocks on the security guard's door, And it was just like, I
they
need.
point over to the Radio Shack.
And they point over to the Radio Shack like, you can't make the same joke in less than 5 minutes.
Where can I find communications devices?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't. Nothing goes, hey, it's the 90s blockbuster. And then like 3 minutes later, it's also the 90s Radio Shack. Like, okay, we get it.
Well,
that was 2 back to back.
But if you were looking for a communications device
Yes.
in the 90s,
Great.
that's where you would have gone.
Yes.
So it's valid.
It is. I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm just saying,
And also valid that in a shopping strip such as that one, you'd have a blockbuster,
and a Radio Shack.
So,
Listen, I'm not questioning the validity of it. I'm not questioning the comedic value of it.
I was far more concerned with the flannel. Like, come on.
Yes, where she stole the grunge outfit, where it was Terminator. That was Terminator 2, right? Was it Terminator 2 where he stole like the grungy outfit?
It's a little late.
And the motorcycle?
95 was a little late for the flannel. Like that was we were done with grunge and we had moved on to Dr. Dre and Snoop and Biggie and Wu-Tang. Like that stuff was over.
Right.
And she's still dressing like it's 1991.
Especially in California, right? Especially in California. That would have been done by then. It read a little, I think it was T2, right? Was T2 when he did all that?
Yes.
Yeah, so it read heavy to that moment. But
I'm more so curious, like, I mean, with all these 90s references, I didn't get Carol drinking a Surge or,
There was no Serge?
There was no Surge.
I did, however, pick up the reference of Ben Mendelsohn's character drinking the soda just like Samuel Jackson did in Pulp Fiction, and I appreciated that one immensely. If you haven't seen this, there's the picture where he's.
Did he say wash this down?
No, he did not. But he was in. What was her face? He's in Maria's house after they take the daughter
to get the straw,
and he's trying to drink the straw. But if you look at it, the cup is the cup from Pulp Fiction. It's a direct nod to Pulp Fiction.
It's a Big Kahuna Burger Cup.
It was a Big Kahuna cup. Big Kahuna Burger Cup. Yes.
Oh, well, that's some shit. I didn't even notice that.
Check that out. It was a good reference. It was a good nod to it. So
I like the mother flirkin that Sam Jackson threw out there.
He's got to get one in every episode.
I was very happy about that. That was very funny.
Overall, I'll say this: I appreciated the action in this movie. I appreciated the comedy. I liked what they did. I don't have any major flaws or complaints about the movie. Nitpicky details, sure, who doesn't? But overall, this was a great movie, and I didn't get any crap or feel, I don't know.
Well, I thought it was a great movie. What I like about the character specifically is that as soon as she figured out who she was and what she's capable of, there was no more half-stepping or second-guessing herself. So in that way, she was immediately a stronger character for me than Wonder Woman, and obviously a stronger character for me than Black Widow. So seems like a natural choice to be one of the leaders of this new team. As much as I'm gonna lament losing the old one.
Right.
Okay, good future of the franchise. 7 movie deal or whatever.
Still on that, aren't you?
I don't know, but I'm with you. I'm with you. So far.
I also really enjoyed the scene at the end of what has to be Endgame. Where they're dealing with the beeper, trying to get it to work, and then just out of fucking nowhere, there she is, standing next to Cap, going, "Where's Fury?"
Just the signal stopped because she showed up.
God, it's so freaking good. I was not expecting to see A, that much of Endgame, and then B, just having her pop up like a ghost out of nowhere was incredible, and I love that moment. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the numbers for this movie because I think that's important, and then we'll do some of the other fun stuff we normally do for like our retro reviews. Opening weekend in the U.S., $153 million, which is incredible.
Light.
It was the 4th largest opening for a Marvel movie.
Okay,
I have the numbers are somewhere.
Yeah, so not great. All right,
gross. No, pretty respectable.
I mean, respectable, but not as big as Black Panther, and I'm not sure.
Definitely not as big as Black Panther.
Nothing's ever going to be as big as Black Panther, but this broke a couple records, if I recall.
Yeah, hold on. Now I thought
this was better than Black Panther.
Right now, gross in the U.S. Over $286 million. It is trending actually to break $1 billion. So that's a cool trend to see. I will say this, Josh. When it comes to the numbers, there's a lot of whatever. There's narratives around how well did this open, not open, and blah blah blah. The thing is, this is not a financial disappointment, obviously, right? However, when you put this in the larger context of, especially Marvel movies that are introducing a character from scratch, right, with no other context, this is one of the most successful ones. Black Panther was featured in Civil War. And was introduced to us that way. So when he premiered and that movie came up, obviously it was going to be huge, and there was already build up, and we've seen something of that character. But coming from a fresh perspective of introducing a character for the first time, the only time we've ever seen this person mentioned is a logo on a beeper. I mean, this is a lot of money coming to the studio this way. So
this was the fourth biggest pre-summer debut ever.
There you go. Thank you.
It was the fourth biggest domestic debut for a non-sequel. It was the biggest IMAX global launch for a non-sequel. It was the biggest opening weekend for a female-directed feature. Biggest domestic debut for a female-led comic book superhero. Biggest overseas debut for a female-led movie. Biggest worldwide debut for a female movie. Biggest opening weekend for a movie starring a cat.
All right. That's an interesting
So it broke
fact.
some records, I'm just saying.
Yeah, so so the 7-picture deal seems kind of warranted there, Josh.
Nope.
I'm just kidding. I know I can never get you to believe that at all. Fantastic. What would you? I mean, do we want to rank this? How do we want to end? My brain's turning to junk.
I don't know that I can assign this a rank yet. Like I'm gonna need to see it a couple more times, and we have Endgame right around the corner. Like if you're asking me to spot rank it, it's somewhere probably between 10 and 20.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I only got to see this movie once, just due to some stuff. So I would like to see it again before I take off the rose-colored glasses and just appreciate the movie for what it is. Get a second viewing and kind of have a better ranking to it. However, highly enjoyed it, and I would recommend people see the movie. And that's better than
It was better
some
than
other
both
people.
the Ant-Man movies. It was better than Black Panther, in my opinion. I mean, and
not according to that ranking from last week, Josh.
And of course not according to that ranking.
No.
Jesus,
That ranking
God
would go to
forbid.
hell and die.
It was not better than any of the Captain America movies. It was better than 2 of the 3 Iron Man movies. I think that's
a solid.
right. Like I'd take all 3 Captain America movies, Iron Man, the first one, all the Avengers movies, Thor Ragnarok. So I don't know. That puts it probably in the teens somewhere.
Yeah, pretty high up. So again, highly recommend the movie. Thought it was fantastic. Can't really say enough good things about it. So way to go. Can't wait to see Endgame. That's what this really boils down to. Can I watch Endgame now? Can I
How
just
is
watch
that?
it?
That's like less than a month away, isn't it?
That might as well just be in 7
It
days
Ryan?
is exactly a month away.
from the night that we record this. Yeah.
26th.
I mean, again, that's like a million years.
4/26. Okay.
All right. Can't wait to see it. Well, patrons, thank you again so much for your continued support of the show. I'm so glad that we can bring exclusive episodes like this to you guys. And we obviously would love to hear what you thought about this movie as well. So hit us up in the comments on Patreon. Thank you again for your continued support for the show. And we will see you on the next exclusive episode.
Well, welcome to the club, cause you are that kind of nerd.